Hey you! Yes, you, watching this video. Do you want to own a piece of Scribbler? Only not a lock of hair or blood or flesh or anything else that will get you in trouble with the law? Well, now you can, with t-shirts, hoodies, tote bags and mugs featuring Obab Scribbler at her Teespring store. You know you want to. I shall now stop talking in third person and send you on to the video. Be lovely to each other and enjoy the show!
Ponytails. Read by Scribbler.
As Granny Smith crooned, the others all did their best to reflect, rest and recover. The living room's furniture had been pulled away from the centre of the room and used to blockade the doors and windows. Spare linens and pillows had been used to build a large pallet in the middle of everything, and the 4 remaining little ponies were nestled in the warmth. Applejack dozed on the couch away from the others, watching the stairs and afraid of the nightmares that would come if she fell into a deeper sleep. Sweetie Belle poked her head from under the blankets and ensured the coast was clear. Once she was satisfied that Diamond, Tiara and Apple Bloom were either asleep or otherwise occupied, she carefully scooted herself closer to the room's sole male occupant.
Button Mash? Are you awake?
The colt rolled over so that he was facing her. He offered the weakest of smiles.
Wouldn't it be nice if I wasn't? If all this was just an awful dream?
She returned the smile and made herself more comfortable in the blankets next to him.
That would be nice.
It would be nice, but it's not true.
Button sighed and nudged at his nearby cap.
Even if nothing else happens tonight, Silver Spoon's still gone, Apple Bloom's lost a brother, and you... Oh.
He caught himself and looked away.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Truth be told, Sweetie Belle was still trying to process the idea that Scootaloo was gone. She imagined that it would take quite some time before she stopped expecting the orange filly to come bounding up the stairs of the treehouse with some news of another colt or filly who needed help figuring out their cutie mark. Even now, she kept catching herself looking toward the stairway, like Scootaloo would just come gliding down, giggling that it was all just a big joke.
Hey, Sweetie Belle?
Hmm?
Is it true, you know, what Silver Spoon said?
When Sweetie Belle did not immediately reply, Button turned away.
Sorry, I guess now's not really a good time.
It's true. I do like you.
He froze.
You do?
Yeah, I've had, the biggest crush on you since earlier this year.
Button smiled.
The milkshake?
The milkshake.
I was such a dork.
You were so cute!
Button Mash reached out and took her hoof.
Not as cute as you are.
Sweetie Belle blushed as she returned the gesture, hooking their forelegs together.
I hate that you only found out about this tonight.
Tell you what,
Button scooted a little closer.
I'll be Drake the Daring, and you can be Princess Amaranth. And if I can protect you the whole night, then you owe me another milkshake this Friday.
Interesting idea.
Sweetie Belle mirrored his movements.
But I kinda wanna be the Scarlet Avenger. You let me be her, and I promise to protect you, just like she protected Drake from the 9 Warlocks of War in Battle for the Hura Crystal.
Have I ever mentioned that your gaming knowledge is just as striking as that blush on your cheeks?
She blushed harder.
That was smooth for some pony who doesn't know the first thing about girls.
He looked into her eyes.
Hey, I'm a fast learner. That's how I was able to master Puzzle's Revenge in just 3 days.
Sweetie Belle broke eye contact and looked away, tormented by the swirling forces inside her. Her sadness, her terror, and her burgeoning attraction all hammered away at her young heart.
I'm so scared, Button.
He wrapped his forelegs around her and pulled her close.
Yeah, so am I. I'm scared too. Look at me. Big old tough button. But hey, I'm scared too.
Her soft lips found his as she drew closer to his warmth. It was a short kiss, small and tentative, an average first kiss, which is to say that it blew Button Mash's mind. While he recovered, Sweetie Belle rolled over and snuggled deeper into the colt's embrace.
Do me a favor.
Uh-huh.
He muttered dizzily.
Talk nerdy to me.
She sighed as she finally relaxed.
Until I fall asleep.
Diamond Tiara carefully crawled past the now snoozing Sweetie Belle and Button Mash toward Apple Bloom. The pink filly still clutched Silver Spoon's cracked glasses close to her, as though some part of her were afraid that if she let go of them they would vanish into nothingness. Apple Bloom was nestled into the farthest corner of the pallet, barely covered at all. From her position, it was unclear to anyone looking if she was asleep or simply staring at the wall.
Apple Bloom?
The young farmer shifted slightly. She and Diamond Tiara had not spoken since Silver Spoon's taking.
What do you want?
Diamond Tiara flinched at Apple Bloom's tone.
I'm sorry. About your brother, I mean.
Thanks.
Are you okay?
Honestly? No. No, I'm not okay, Diamond Tiara.
Do you want to talk about it?
Talk about what?
Apple Bloom rolled over, and Diamond Tiara could see her red-rimmed eyes.
Talk about my dead brother? Or my dead best friend? Or my other dead best friend who had a nervous breakdown first?
She glared.
Or to focus on the small stuff first? We could talk about how you've been lying through your teeth about being my friend these past few months.
Diamond Tiara flinched.
That's not fair, Bloom.
Don't call me that!
Apple Bloom snapped.
You don't get to call me that!
Apple Bloom growled, her eyes burning a hole through the richest filly in town.
Why?
Why what?
Why did you lie to me?
Now it was Diamond Tiara's turn to glare.
Now who's not being fair? I wasn't lying about being your friend, Apple Bloom.
Then why would you say that about coming over tonight?
Because I wanted to spend Hearthstoring with my family, in my house.
Her grip tightened on Silver Spoon's glasses.
Is that so wrong of me?
Horse apples! Just 'cause you're mad at your folks don't mean that you could say something so hurtful about me and my friends.
There, right there.
Diamond Tiara sat up and pointed a hoof at the yellow filly.
That's what's been getting on my nerves.
What in the hell are you?
How come I don't get to be in the same class as Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo? Even after that day, you kept me and Sylvie at hoof's length. Why? What makes us outsiders?
Apple Bloom rolled her eyes.
Because me and those two have been through a lot these past few years. We're more sisters than friends at this point.
You helped me find out who I was. You saw deeper in me than even I saw. You gave me the strength to change the very nature of my being, to even stand up to my own mother. Apple Bloom, you changed me.
She looked away.
And then you just moved on. You carried on like nothing had changed.
You make it sound like I was ignoring you.
You may as well have been.
Diamond Tiara collapsed onto the blankets and rolled over.
I thought after that day, I would finally know what it was like to really have friends. It had always just been me and Silver Spoon, you know. I kept waiting for you to invite me back to the treehouse or to go hang out at Sugar Cube Corner. I thought that's what friends did.
Apple Bloom rolled over as well.
It is.
Then the only real friends you have are Sweetie Belle and...
Diamond Tiara bit her tongue.
You only ever hang out with them. The most I've gotten out of this friendship before tonight is a greeting on the street or somebody eating lunch with me at school. Besides ponies at school not hating me anymore, nothing's changed at all.
Apple Bloom considered in the silence that followed.
You could reach out to other ponies, you know. You could be friends with just about any pony now.
I don't know how.
Diamond Tiara sniffled. She wiped her eyes and looked at the glasses nestled in her fur.
Sylvie was my only real friend, and now she's gone. So what do I have now?
She curled into a ball.
The occasional wave on the street and 15 minutes of conversation on school days?
Apple Bloom stared at the wall as she processed what Diamond Tiara had said. It was true that she most often hung out with her fellow crusaders, but surely the rich filly was wrong about everything else. She had other friends, like Twist, but she hadn't had a serious conversation with her since the day she'd gotten her cutie mark all those months ago. But then there was Pipsqueak, who she hadn't said a word to in between Nightmare Night and the student pony elections. She racked her brain, but she couldn't find a single pony that she spent as much time with as she did her two best friends.
Do you still hate me?
It was Apple Bloom's turn to flinch at the cracking in Diamond Tiara's voice.
What?
For all those times I tormented you and made fun of you, do you still hate me?
Apple Bloom measured her next words carefully.
I never hated you. Not exactly, anyway.
But you still hold all that against me, don't you?
Apple Bloom hated herself for it, but it would be a lie to say otherwise.
Yeah, a little bit.
The two fillies lay in silence a while longer, the only sounds in the air that crackling fire and Granny Smith's aged vocals. The clock struck midnight and chimed.
Happy heartswarming.
Apple Bloom muttered.
You too.
Came the sniffled reply. Granny Smith yawned hugely. This was later than she'd been awake in the last 30 years, but she knew she could hold out for just a while longer. Applejack could use a little more shut-eye now that she'd finally given up the ghost and headed to Dreamland. She owed her granddaughter that much at least. But my, did sleep ever sound nice. She yawned again and launched into a sleepy, hearth-warming carol. She could feel her eyelids drooping, but she paid them no mind. She knew she could stay awake. The elder mare went limp and began to snore. The singing stopped. Silence descended on the room. Outside, the wind's howling began to rise in pitch and strength. Something huge on the roof shifted, as though it sensed a change in the air. Foolish giggles and sobs echoed down the chimney. A blast of wintry wind blasted down the brick structure and reduced the once roaring fire to a pile of icicles. It spread through the room, jolting every pony awake at once. Granny Smith stared at the pony she'd failed. She heard the chains shoot down the chimney before she felt them wrap around her body. The hook snapped into place and pulled tight, splintering her rocking chair to pieces. The dangling bells danced and sang as they mocked her failure. Run! She was yanked back up the chimney less than a second later.
No!
Applejack and Apple Bloom screamed together. The windows shattered inward all at once, the howling wind filling the air of the house with freezing snow. The front door blasted open so hard that it flew off its hinges. Icicles began to grow from the ceiling and floor, spreading toward the panicking ponies.
We've got to make a break for the barn!
Applejack yelled over the wind. She bolted for the front door, trusting the others to follow her. Apple Bloom and Diamond Tiara followed closely, Marble not far behind. Button Mash and Sweetie Belle made to follow, but a sudden gust of wind caught their small bodies and lifted them wholly into the air. They screamed as the rogue gust blew them up the stairs and into the second-floor hallway. Button Mash was caught in a downdraft and blown against the door to Applejack's bedroom. The impact knocked him senseless and smashed the door to splinters. He smacked against the room's far wall and hit the ground, groaning in agony. Button! Sweetie Belle cried as the wind carried her further down the hallway. She was spun around just in time to see herself rapidly approaching the end of the hall. A wall of razor-sharp icicles waited for her like spikes. She screamed as she braced for impact. Marble cried out as her ankle twisted. She collapsed into the snow and watched as the other 3 ponies ran to the barn. She tried to call out to them, but her screams were swallowed by the storm.
Help me!
She cried in desperation, trying as hard as she could to put weight on her damaged limb.
Please, don't leave me.
The sound of chains behind her, crystal clear above the winter's wind, made her spin and stare. Standing on the roof of the farmhouse was an enormous shape. It stood on 4 legs, wrapped in a shroud as black as night. It stared at her with red eyes blazing from beneath a heavy hood. 2 huge horns curved past the hood's rim. Hanging from the beast's neck was a single golden bell. Marble opened her mouth to scream. Chains emerged from the shroud. The bells that hung from them jangled merrily as they struck like serpents and claimed another soul for Grogar.